you can convert lines and arcs that were created as separate but continuous objects into a single polyline object. This gives us power and flexibility to manipulate that geometry as one single object. If you've created objects as individual lines and arcs, in other words, let's say I just started creating some geometry here. I'll start the line command, and I'll pick some points. And I'll end the line command, and I'll start the arc command, and I'll draw a continuation of that line. And then I'll start the line command again, and I'll draw a line from this end of the arc back to the end point of the first line. Okay, so these are individual line and arc segments. Now what I'd like to do is to take these objects and convert them all into a single polyline, because right now it's just a collection of individual objects. I'll expand the Modify panel on the Home ribbon and choose the Edit Polyline tool. Because all of the objects are snapped to endpoints, I can either choose the Select Polyline option or the Multiple option. Let's use the Select Polyline option first. I'll select this line, and the obvious response that comes back is, it's not a polyline. Do you want to turn this into one? And the answer, by default, is yes. I'll press the Enter key. Now, what I want to do is to choose the Join option. But before I do that, to prove to you that this actually works, I'm going to first set a width for this first segment that I just created. I'll make it 0.25 units. So you can see that that segment did indeed turn into a polyline. Now I'm going to choose the Join option. And I'm going to choose all of the other geometry. And it doesn't matter whether I choose the original object or not. Once I've selected all of those objects, I can press the Enter key or right-click with the mouse, and notice that all of those segments are immediately joined so that they're now part of one continuous polyline object. I'll press the Escape key to end the command. And then, when I move the cursor over the object, you can see that it's been converted into one single continuous closed polyline object. Let's do it another way. I'll click the Undo button. So I've restored it back, so this is simply individual line segments and an arc again. I'll choose the Edit Polyline command, and this time I'll right-click and choose the Multiple option. Now I'll select all of the geometry. When I'm done selecting geometry, I can right-click or press the Enter key. Again, the program is going to ask me if I want to convert all of these lines and arcs into polylines. And again, I can simply press Enter to say yes. Now I see the Edit Polyline options again. And I'm going to need to select the Join option in order to join them all together. But before I do that, let me specify a width. And I'm going to specify a width of 0.5 units for all of the segments. Okay, notice that because I didn't select the Join option, it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look quite right because right now it did convert all of these segments into polylines, but they're all separate polylines. They're not joined together yet as one continuous polyline. I must still use the Join option. Because I used the Multiple option, the program is still prompting me for a fuzz distance. This time, I can set the fuzz distance to 0. I would only set a distance here if for some reason these segments did not touch or weren't snapped to their endpoints. Then I would specify a fuzz distance based on the largest gap. I'll enter a distance of 0 and then press Enter. Notice that as soon as I press Enter, the program joins all of those segments together. You can tell just by looking at the intersections at the corners. I'll press the Enter key to end the command. And now you can see, when I move my cursor over the object, that the object is now a single polyline. A single polyline object that's been converted from the individual line and arc segments.